I somehow shot 940 photos in less than 15 minutes with this guy. Now, just a quick disclaimer that this is not a definitive review of the camera. This is more of a report where I'm sharing with you guys my learning experience of the camera, as well as gathering materials for the actual full user experience review that will come in the near future. So in this video, I will mainly focus on a few performance aspects of the A7R III, mainly the buffer, the autofocus, and the rating system. Alright, so let me set up the scenario first. On Friday, I went to go shoot an all-girl Japanese rock band, and for those of you who are not familiar with concert shooting conditions, photographers can shoot 3 songs up in the pit, no flash, and that's generally 15 to 20 minutes of shoot time. First off, what really impressed me the most was how fast the buffer cleared on the A7R III. I was shooting with the 64GB UHS-2 SanDisk SD card, shooting both RAW and JPEG, and I barely experienced any sort of slowdown. I've shot more than a dozen concerts with the Sony a7R II, and let me tell you, the buffer was the biggest thing that held me back from getting more shots. Because of that, I have to switch to the A6500 while the A7R II clears up, and when I hit the limit on the A6500, take the A7R II out again, it would still be writing in the photos. But with the A7R III, I just kept on shooting. And then at some point, just for comparison, I put out the A7R II and just... And I was like, man, was it always this slow? So I just put it away, took out the A7R III, and just kept on shooting. And I guess because of that, I filled up the entire card on the A7R III. And yes, I was just using one card. I know the camera's capable of taking in 2 cards, but I was just like, man, I never had to shoot more than 1 card for a concert, especially one that I'm only shooting 3 songs for. And well, I guess I got too trigger happy with the A7R III because of how impressed I was with the focus and the performance of the camera that I just got carried away. So I put up the entire card on the A7R III, and we were only maybe like 10 seconds into the 3rd song. I had to steal the SD card from the A7R II, put it in the R3 just so I can keep on shooting. Now, I don't want to give off the impression that the A7R III never choked. It did. I at some point pushed the camera to the limit where I had to let it finish writing in the photos before I can start using it again. I literally held down the shutter until I couldn't shoot anymore. Now, it's not like machine gun fast, reload fast like the A9, but compared to the A7R II, it is miles better. Because of the buffer improvement, I feel more confident using the A7R III as my main body for event type photography like weddings and concerts. Alright, so let's talk about the autofocus now, and this was another huge reason why I filled up my card. I was literally so amazed with how well the camera seeked their faces and their eyes that I literally just kept on firing. With the A7R II, it had issues trying to find the musicians' faces, let alone their eyes, especially in low light environment, but with the A7R III, it barely had any issues. If it didn't grab me an eye, it at least grabbed me a face. But when it does grab me an eye, it just dances with it. It literally just dances with it. Yeah, follow that eye. Follow that eye. So, 940 photos. Obviously, the culling process was not fun at all, but thankfully, the newly implemented rating system got added to the A7R III. I was sitting in my Uber ride just going through the photos and picking out a few to upload to the Instagram stories for preview. And because I can rate the photos now, I know which ones I really like, so when I get to the computer, I can start editing them. However, I'm a Lightroom user, and since Lightroom is not capable of processing the raw files off the A7R III yet, I had to use Capture One Pro 11. Capture One Pro 11. Yeah. And I mean, it's cool. I mean, I've always wanted to sit down and try out the software anyway. However, when I was trying to import the photos to Capture One Pro, it does not show me the ratings on the photos that I've marked in camera. And I was very frustrated about that. I think you have to import them to the catalog first before you can actually see the rating, which is dumb. Hopefully you guys can help me out by telling me if there's a way to see the ratings of the photo first before importing to the catalog. So what I had to do was download the new Sony Imaging Edge software, sort out the rated photos, copy them into Capture One Pro, and then start editing them. It was incredibly frustrating. And yeah, that was my initial photo experience with the Sony a7R III. And in my next video, I will share with you guys my experience shooting videos with the Sony a7R III. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.